Alright folks, it's WrestleRides with Mike, and this is going to be a WrestleMania series. I'm going to start with the first three WrestleManias. What are my thoughts, memories, reflections? I'm not going to grade these WrestleManias per se, I'm just going to tell you emotions and have some nostalgia and some fun. The first WrestleMania I did not see live, WrestleMania I, not too many people did. It was on limited closed circuit, of course, the Madison Square Garden, and I don't know if it was called the Felt Forum, but this was, I believe, I'm just going by memory, I want to say March 31st, 1985, was that the first WrestleMania. It was on a Sunday afternoon. I believe it was a Sunday afternoon, it wasn't even a night show, it was like a late afternoon, 4 or 5, and look, you know, a lot of fans, I'm shocked, haven't even ever watched the first WrestleMania. If you're a wrestling fan or a sports entertainment fan, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to the tribe to watch WrestleMania 1, okay? See the gala, you know, and I guess it's on the network, but if you can find like an old VHS or an old DVD or some translation of it, then make sure you have the Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon commentary, and so forth and so on and so forth and so on. Now, when I was a youth, I did not see this thing live. I didn't, you know, it was interesting. Being a WWF fan at that age, and I'm older than I fucking look, okay? That's the conceit. I did not, you didn't connect with WWF if you didn't have cable, meaning connect emotionally. I still went to fucking house shows, and I'll talk about those sometime. But if you were a WWF fan, and until about December of '86, I did not have cable TV, okay? So if you were cranking that UHF dial to watch your fucking Channel 20, 11 a.m. Saturday morning wrestling, WWF, you did not have the full experience. If you didn't have MTV, which I didn't during WrestleMania 1, you were fucking missing out. And the painful thing was you knew you were missing out. Now imagine if a kid today loved wrestling, but he didn't have the USA Network. Now what's he going to do? Watch YouTube clips? Read fucking Facebook and fucking Twitter comments about wrestling? Or I guess he could have the network. But if you didn't have USA Network today, that was equivalent to what I was going through. The major lifeblood of World Wrestling Federation was really going into WrestleMania 1 was MTV and USA Network with the fucking Titan fucking show, Tuesday Night Titans. So for a long time, I was still going to house shows, I was still watching Monday or fucking Saturday morning wrestling, but I was fucking oblivious to like the major, you know, storylines or the cutting edge shit. So that's the whole thing. The next part of the story is when I finally knew all the results of WrestleMania 1, it wasn't until I got like Inside Wrestling in the fucking mail. I'm like, oh, this, you know, Tito Santana was on this thing, and who's this Mr. X? And like that was the big question mark for years, not knowing who Mr. X, the Tito Santana beat, was. For years it was told to me that it was Danny Davis, the referee, who came out a few years later in WrestleMania 3. But come to find out, it was actually Playboy Buddy Rose, who actually looked kind of thinner in that suit. You had Matt Bourne. Of course, Matt Bourne was a territory guy. And WWF at the time was doing something, which is not totally unlike what they've done forever, which is they took a territory guy like Matt Bourne and made him more or less a glorified jobber. Okay, I mean, he could have just as easily had a good match with Steamboat, and it was a decent match, but it could have been more of a 50-50 affair, meaning that Matt Bourne got some more offense in. The whole card, probably the thing, if you had to do, you know, reconfiguration booking, you might want to take, basically, Greg Valentine took a little hiatus from his feud with Tito Santana to face the Junkyard Dog, even though, you know, Tito came out and helped JYD get a DQ victory. Like, that means a fucking thing. But Tito and Valentine, had they actually had a match on this show, that might have really been something nice, because nothing against JYD, but he and Valentine did not have that great chemistry. And you've seen that racist promo that Valentine did on JYD. Looked into that. You want to see something pretty horrible. Talk about fucking Hogan and Vince and all that stuff. Look up the Greg Valentine racist promo thing on YouTube and you'll see something horrendous. But basically, Valentine and Santana had an amazing chemistry, and that really, if they had had a singles match at WrestleMania I, no matter how it went down, a time limit draw, for instance, it would have been incredible. The actual wrestling on WrestleMania I, like the wrestling kind of serviced the event, meaning that that's cool. The event did not service the wrestling. The wrestling serviced the event. Overall, you had just like things where Andre was going to slam Stud, but he was still going to jump in. You know, the big thing with Orndorff turning babyface. I mean, it's a great show. The action is pretty good. It's nowhere near as good as a Starrcade from that era, even Starrcade 84, which is not really one of the better Starrcades. But compare what you saw Starrcade 83 to WrestleMania 1, and if you've got any type of brain in your fucking head, you'd agree that, you know, Starrcade 83 was superior. So, sorry, I just ate an apple in this movie. I just saw a movie. I saw A Quiet Place. Okay, yeah, good movie, go see it. Okay, next point of contention. Let's just say that I read the magazines, got all the results, saw the Wendy Richter, and WrestleMania 1, like I said, if you didn't have cable, even if you were going to house shows as a kid, even if you were watching your Saturday morning WWF, being a good little wrestling fan, you felt the fuck left out. Next point, WrestleMania 2. How did I see WrestleMania 1? On VHS, okay? That summer. So, I mean, it didn't even come out for 3 months. So by the time you saw it, it just wasn't as good. And then they had this other gimmick at the time where Vince would always say, you won't see any of these matches till you're old and gray. Well, then they just put them on VHS. So what the fuck? WrestleMania 2, that was a fun one. I saw that the summer of 86 on VHS. And I'm telling you, it was just a different era back then. Because you'd still watch the weekly wrestling, the WWF or whatever you'd find, but to have to wait 3 months to actually see the matches. And WrestleMania 2 has a fucking spot in my heart because A, the Bulldogs fucking Valentine Beefcake was an awesome match. Look for the second referee at ringside who trips up Beefcake in a really weird thing. B, the Funks, Terry and Dory Funk versus fucking JYD and Tito, rekindling their buddyship. That's a great match. Hogan Bundy's a fun match for what it is. Then there's a lot of filler and bullshit. The people in New York City, since each show got 4 live matches and 8 video projection matches, the people in New York City really got the shabazz. They got the worst card of the night. I think they got Jake Roberts versus fucking George Wells, Mr. T versus Piper in a boxing match. I want to see Uncle Elmer versus fucking Adrian Adonis. And they had one other match. I'm just going by memory here, folks, as I always do. Yeah, they got Paul Orndorff versus Morocco, opening match of the night, which could have been a phenomenal match. 2 classic workers, but they just came up with a dud for whatever the fuck reason. Maybe they just didn't have enough time. It was like a 6-minute double DQ or some horse shit. The only good thing about the New York part of WrestleMania 2 was I want to say that was Susan St. James on commentary, or something. There was something about the WrestleMania 2 New York commentary that I recall was better. People pick on Susan St. James and her commentary. I thought her commentary was pretty good. At least she seemed interested in this fucking stuff. WrestleMania 2, April 6, 1986, I believe. Rosemont Horizon, Nassau Coliseum, not MSG, and the other place, LA Sports Arena. What you need to know is that was the only WrestleMania, as far as I know, on a Monday night. Now, people sometimes hear that, they go, oh, well, what the hell were they thinking? That was stupid. No, it wasn't stupid. It was very smart. because Monday night is the traditional night off for theater shows. Theatrical theater, Broadway, off-Broadway. Monday night is the traditional night off for theater workers. Therefore, all these top talents that Vince either got or wanted to get in, even other people he might have been talking to, they all had Monday night off, in theory, from their other bullshit. So if you had Ricky Schroeder at WrestleMania II, which you did, who years later I would meet, Ricky Schroeder from a show called Silver Spoon. Some of you guys don't even know what the fuck that is. But all these fucks, all these Hollywood people, Tommy Lasorda, fucking the bitch from Wendy's, or Clara Parton, whatever the fuck, they all had their goddamn thing. They all had the night off, Monday night. 25 celebrities at WrestleMania 2, about 20 too many. Now we get to, once again, I just saw it on VHS, and there was a fucking killer issue of Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Anybody out there wants to be my buddy, get me a copy of this. Super Battles 86, and they reviewed WrestleMania 2, I think Wrestle Rock from the AWA, World Class Parade of Champions 2, and Crockett Cup 86. Moving forth, WrestleMania 3. This is the first pay-per-view I ever watched live. This was the first time we had gotten fucking pay-per-view in Christmas time, just the day after my birthday in 86. And now we have fucking WrestleMania 3 on pay-per-fucking-view. Though I remember it being $14.95, which is a great price. I mean, it's more than the network now, but at the time, $14.95. The show, I recall it being 4 hours. I recall having like a 15-minute intermission, believe it or not, during the pay-per-view, where your screen just went to blue, and they just had a fucking countdown clock, I think for a legit 15 minutes. So this was an all-day, all-night affair, folks. We also got a free replay out of it. The replay was actually included for free, so you could sit there like an asshole and watch it again. If you had a VCR like a normal person by that point, you could tape it, which I did. Basically, who watched this thing? Me, my mom, and my father, my dad, my mom, and me. We won't get into that too much, but basically to say it was hard for any, situation in my family to gather around for anything. So we all sat there and watched WrestleMania 3, and I was on the horn, the phone, fucking old school folks, no cell phone, fucking pick up the fucking phone and dial that son of a bitch, calling my buddy Randall Mack during intermission to check in. And the funny thing was, fellas, and I'm saying guys because I just checked my YouTube stats and I have 100% male audience at some of these wrestling videos, 100%. So can't beat that. So I'm watching fucking WrestleMania 3 at my house. My friend lives about 15 or 20 minute drive from me, and he's watching at his house. Back in those days, there was no consideration. It didn't occur to us to, go to your friend's house and watch this wrestling stuff. It was like, we want to watch it, we have to order it. He wants to watch it at his home, he has to watch it at his home with his family. By the time Survivor Series 87 came around, 6 or 7 months later, we figured it out. But I'm just saying, actually, no, it wasn't until something else, some other pay-per-view. But bottom line is this, that first pay-per-view, you felt like you had to watch it at home. Like there was this, you just didn't feel like you could go anywhere else to watch it. You wanted to watch this big wrestling show, you had to stay home and watch it in the comfort of your own home. You couldn't go to someone else's comfort. You had to enjoy your own comfort. So, WrestleMania 3. I'm not going to give you the match-by-match breakdown. We all know, Bundy slamming Little Beaver, the Can-Am Connection making their last, big match as a team, really, on pay-per-view against Morocco and Orton. We all, if you haven't watched WrestleMania 1, which it shocks and saddens me, that some fans today who've been watching wrestling 10, 15, 20 years, maybe have never taken the fucking moment to even consider that they should watch WrestleMania 1 and 2. Well, maybe you fucking should. Instead of watching Kenny Omega wrestle a duck in Japan, watch fucking WrestleMania 1 and 2. I mean, I'd rather have you watch fucking the road to Greensboro, Youngblood and Steamboat taking on Canoodle and Slaughter in a cage. But if you must stick with your WWE revisionist history, watch WrestleManias 1, 2, and 3 for crying out loud. So what do we have at WrestleMania 3? Once again, being an NWA fan at the same time as all this, I knew better. I knew that was the better product, as they like to say now, or the better federation is what we called it. But at the time, didn't really know all that, weren't that smart to the game, and so just kind of watched it and enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was great. You're watching this, 4-hour wrestling show. The reception was immaculate. The picture, yes, it was standard def, okay? I mean, we're talking about 4x, the screen was just a different image. But back then, if you didn't have high def, and unless you went to Epcot Center, where they showed you what a high def TV looked like from Japan as this exotic thing, you really didn't know the difference. You just knew that was what TV looked like. And it had a great look. The sun set upon the Pontiac Silverdome. If you ever watch that tape, make sure you have Jesse Ventura on there doing commentary with Monsoon. Because what turned me off for years with WWE fucking home video or their DVDs, they edited Jesse Ventura's voice out of a lot of stuff. And it was just so goddamn upsetting because, Jesse was part of that, and it's just money. Vince doesn't want to pay him off, doesn't want to pay the residuals. So he just took his voice out of all these fucking shows. It was a great show. It was a lot of fun to watch it. Me and my friend, the same guy I mentioned, we bet on the fucking matches. And I believe I lost, but he gave me the mercy rule because it was one of these deals where we bet on like every match and then, who would win every match. And then we bet on Hogan Andre as like a special bonus. And the stip was the losing guy, I bet on Andre. I bet that Andre would win this fucking title. I was supposed to wear an Andre the Giant shirt to school the next day. But my fucking tap-out clause was that the shirt didn't fit, which was kind of bullshit of me, because if I didn't want to take the bet, that I should have. But anyway, Mick, my buddy, fucking let me off the hook with that one. As far as the actual matches, look, you've seen them, you know the deal. I'll be a little negative. Savage Steamboat, everybody circle jerks about that match, even to this day. Yes, Randy Savage had 14 pages of notes. Yes, they memorized this match. Yes. They danced around the fucking, hotel room, according to Steamboat, because Savage wanted to have the perfect match. I don't think it's the perfect match, and I'll tell you why. George the Animal Steel, no offense, rest in peace. I think he died, right? George the Animal Steel's outside interference, pushing fucking Savage off the top rope, to me, has always been the dick in the ass of that match. Also, the match is about 14 and a half minutes. I'm sorry, I was seeing Ric Flair and Barry Windham wrestle for 35 minutes 2 weeks later at the Crockett Cup. So, people always love to, Chris Jericho and everybody else likes to cite Savage and Steamboat. The reality is, I've been around the block. I know the deal. It was a great fucking match. 19 stars, whatever the fuck. But it's not a 20-star match because fucking George Steele with the interference. A good guy should not get interference to win a title. I'm sorry. No matter what the circumstances. And yes, I know that infers Bill Goldberg helping Eddie Guerrero beat Brock Lesnar, but on and on we go, folks. Going back to WrestleMania 3, the way that the sun set on that fucking arena was just a beautiful thing. That stadium, whatever the fuck, the Silverdome. Meltzer likes to bitch and complain and say it wasn't 93,173 fans. I don't know. I guess he counted those people. I guess Meltzer's out there with a fucking person counter or whatever the fuck. Or he had a friend tell him. It did start the Butch Reed, Coco Beware match, launched the term hot dog match. That's a term you can use. Hot dog match, meaning the match you get up and you leave whatever you're fucking doing, the TV or the actual arena, to get a hot dog or a vegan dog at this point for me, because I'm not eating meat these days. But Coco and Butch Reed had such a shitty fucking 4-minute match that months later, when Pro Wrestling Illustrated analyzed the fucking thing, I think it was whoever the fuck, Craig Peters or someone, he said I went to get a hot dog during Coco and Butch. So that's the hot dog match. What else? I'm trying to think. The six-man tag, people talk about, they like to say, what's an underrated WrestleMania match? Some of these six-man tags could be like that. I mentioned in one of these Facebook groups the fucking Nation of Domination and fucking Ahmed match with the Road Warriors and everything. But that was at WrestleMania 13. This is WrestleMania 3. We're talking about the British Bulldogs, yes, with Dynamite Kid and a severely injured back, taking on your World Tag Team Champions, the Hart Foundation, and a friend, referee Danny Davis. And for me, it was a really good match. I mean, it was a good match. It was fun, exciting. The bad guys won, actually. I think they used a megaphone. And I want to say that Danny Davis pinned one of the Bulldogs or some such thing. That was fun. Volkov and Sheik against the Bees, I think, was the semi-final before Hogan and Andre came out. And so it was a total thing where nobody wanted to see that match at that point. It was just a meaningless tag team match. But they spiced it up by having Hacksaw Duggan. So imagine Hacksaw Duggan really fresh to the scene of the World Wrestling Federation 2 or 3 weeks in, and he's getting to barrage good old Iron Sheik and fucking Nikolai with a fucking stick, with a 2x4. So that was exciting. I'm gonna let this fuck pass me because I just don't like people, and just go away, you fuck. Just hate people. Just hate them. You know what I mean? That's the thing. People say, well, Mike, you got to move to New York or LA to pursue your acting. The problem is I don't like people that much. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, now you're in the city on a bus or a fucking subway train or a cab or an Uber, and I just don't like being involved that much with people in an intimate setting, in a face-to-face way. I mean, I'll talk to them through a fucking YouTube link, but I mean, God, do I have to fucking, just being in this movie tonight with all these people around me, it's just too much. It's too much intimacy. Moving forth, what can I say about other WrestleMania 3 memories? Like I said, it was one of the first, only times that my genesis of a family kind of sat around together. It was a good show. It was a fun show. Go to school the next day, and suddenly all these fucking wrestling fans are popping on the woodwork. People that, guys that never talked about wrestling suddenly were into it. It was a happening, This was, Bruce Pritchard on Something to Wrestle talks about people had to go out and rent a special pay-per-view cable box. I didn't have to do that. I had Media General Cable, and that had you just fucking call. You call the phone number to order. That's what I remember. You would call a fucking phone number. I think you talk to an actual person, not an automatic thing. You call and you say, I'd like to order WrestleMania. I think that's the first couple of years of pay-per-view. You had to call a person, and you do it. You'd be smart. You would plan this shit out like 2 or 3 days in advance. You wouldn't wait till the last minute because you didn't want to get a busy signal. Yes, we had big busy signals back then. All types of weird shit. So, but as far as going to a cable company, station and getting a box and bringing it home and sticking it in the fucking wall or something, I don't remember any of that shit. I didn't have to go through that. The reception was good. I mean, it was a clear image. They did a nice job with the lighting and all those high-end production values. And Vince, welcome to WrestleMania 3. He was into it, man. So as much as I shit on Vince, not, literally, but as much as I have issues with him and his XFL and his sports entertainment and Saudi Arabia and all that shit that I point out because I am very critical. People have been wondering, Mike, why do you care so fucking much? Because I do. That's what I do. I care. So, if you don't care, you don't criticize. And if you don't If you don't criticize, maybe you don't care. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just not going to sit there and be a lemming and scoop up all the shitty wrestling in one lifetime. I'm going to hold their dicks to the fucking iron here. I mean, look at Hulk Hogan going back. I'm going to take a little credit for that. My video, fucking Hulk Hogan needs to go back to the WWE before he or Vince McMahon dies. Yeah, I'm taking some credit. I think that was an instrumental part of this. Hogan fucking loved that video because I pointed it out. We're all on limited time, folks. We don't know when our Broadway's going to end. We don't know if we got 15 or 60. You know what I'm saying? So, point of the goddamn fucking matter is this. WrestleMania 3, the match per match, if you're going to analyze it, no, it's not the best show, okay? But, that being said, the enjoyment level, for me as a fucking kid, a little kid, was pretty fucking right up there. It was pretty much the top of the charts because there was nothing to compare it to. It was the first pay-per-view. It was the first fucking pay-per-view to sit and watch and enjoy. And I'm just experiencing it and just sharing some WrestleMania moments. We're going into the 34th fucking WrestleMania. And, you know, fans today, it's a different fucking game. You know, and I see the love, the addiction/love of wrestling. All these guys and the fucking In Your Head group, the wrestling fans group, you know, all the different groups, wrestling news and discussions. Everyone Jones is about fucking wrestling because it's cool. There's something about it to go to a fucking arena and when those lights dim and the fucking place has that fucking ring and everyone's just waiting for that combat. You know it's on. You know you're in for a good time. So for fans that haven't, and believe it or not, there's probably fans that are out there that have watched 10, 20 years worth of wrestling that haven't been to a live show, and I don't quite get that. If you're a wrestling fan and you're strictly a TV fan, you need to get your ass to a fucking show. And if you go to some show and it's a dud, which is possible, scrape yourself off and go to another fucking show. If you go to some fucking high school gymnasium show, or if you go to some WWE house show and all the matches are flat, go to another show. Keep going. Yeah, I do have issues with today's wrestling. I do. I have a lot of issues, mostly negative with what I'm seeing. A friend of mine was Twitter fucking me today or messaging me and showed me a picture of a kid, you know, a guy who was working for him wearing a Young Bucks shirt by coincidence. And I said, you know, Young Bucks, great at promotion. I don't dig their wrestling. Cody Rhodes, I like his gimmick. I think he's got a hot wife and a nice dog, and he seems like a cool dude. But, you know, to Twitter fuck all day and all night with fans, I don't know. So many talented wrestlers, especially on the WWE roster, guys you might see in the Battle Royal tomorrow, who are very talented, but they don't seem to know if they're a face or a heel. And their social media, and they might as well just say, hey, I'm a regular guy just like you, and I just happen to be a wrestler. Well, you're not going to get very far with that. Public persona with an AE at the end. So, this is your WrestleRide with Mike. You know, we're hitting about the 30-minute mark. We've been rocking out. You know, and I just do these videos basically as a testimony to a wrestling fan who's been around the fucking block. I've kind of had one toe in the business, not a foot, but a toe. And I share these stories because you might get some enjoyment out of them. You might say, fuck your stories, Mike. Who gives a flying fuck? But hey, here, I'm telling the stories and you're free to watch or not. But you're welcome to share the fucking links, to watch all the goddamn videos you want. I do have other videos, Mike's playlists. Another fucking asshole passing me because I let him. All these fucks. That's why I can't live in LA or New York. There's too much traffic. But the Mike Messier short films, the Messier mantra, all the wonderful things. MikeMessier.com. You can just see all this. The Avalonia Festival. Look that up on DistanceFromAvalon.com. I'm not a hard guy to figure out. Just another fucking asshole living the dream, driving around and talking wrestling. It's the night before WrestleMania. Remember your Starcade, folks. Don't just, you know, and all the wrestlers that have come before you. Ox Baker, okay? Remember Ox. Have a good night, folks.